human.
Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet? Then we'll go out there. I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Wild. Sounds of hockey. Who? Ooh! Yes! I always love that one.
Minnesota is so hot.
What a gift. In the middle of the Olympic break, are you kidding? We get 3 solid hours of hockey talk. Listen to all of you across the state of hockey rejoicing as you jump towards your car radio to turn it up to 10. It's unbelievable. What a gift Chad Abbott and the programming geniuses here gave to you, the listening public. My name's Kevin Falness. I'm not Paul Allen. That is not Eric Nordquist. That is Brett Blakemore. And we're here for the next 3 hours. Brett, good morning.
Hi, Kevin.
So
what's better than this?
Nothing. You know, a close second would be Beyond the Pond, but that's Saturday morning, and we got to deal with the riffraff that is the Micheletti clan that infiltrate the studio. Here it's just you and me and the listeners. And I think we're going to have some fun. I don't know. There's so much going on in the world of hockey, and that's the best part about it is there's a lot to talk about right now when it comes to hockey, even though the Wild are on that Olympic break.
It's a little quieter. It's maybe, dare I say, a little more peaceful. But also there's an element of the chaos that I kind of miss.
Well, it'll be here tomorrow.
Later in the show.
But I know in listening to this station religiously, and I listen all the time.
We know.
Would you consider yourself one of those people that's sad the football season is over?
100%. I mean, in general, yes. But also, as you can see, and no one else can, I've got Wild green on. I'm ready to roll for the rest of the season. I'm not ready to, skip past the Olympics and let's see what this Team USA can do. But I am ready for the playoff push, especially for your Minnesota Wild.
Well, this is what I've been hearing from a few members of the on-air staff, and I don't need to name them by name, but they complain that the abyss has arrived because the Super Bowl is over. They're worried that the football season is done, but I'm telling you, we can move past football now. Congrats to the Seahawks. Now let's just move on to off-season mode. Honestly, I can't wait to see who leads the Vikings next year at quarterback. Who's the new purple general manager? I am on the edge of my seat. I can't wait for the draft, training camp, Hall of Fame game. It's all going to be so awesome. But that's a long ways in the future. Just because football's over, that doesn't make this the abyss. Actually, there's a lot to be excited about. If you're a hockey fan, high school hockey's ramping up. Girls are headed to state already. The guys are heading towards sections. The regular season's wrapping up in high school hockey. Winter Olympics, they're in full swing, and the women are on the landslide favorites to win the gold. Celebrate that. Have fun with that. On the men's side, in my opinion, the U.S. has their best chance at capturing their third gold in our nation's history. And, of course, there's the Minnesota Wild. Off until the end of the month. But what's coming is the best part of the season. That's what we're trying to gear up for. The final push, the trade deadline. Could we have 250 goal scorers? Quinn Hughes, are you kidding me? He's in a Wild uniform. That's not a dream. That's reality. That happened. He's already had 25 games in a Wild uniform, and it will continue after the Olympic break. Can they catch the Avalanche and hold off the Stars? Following that, you got the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is this the year the state of hockey finally gets to lift that big silver trophy over their head? This isn't the abyss. I'm here to tell you right here, right now, this, my friends, is the anti-abyss. Because if you're a sports fan, you should not be more excited for this time of year because hockey fans are about to get paid. So here you go. 2 questions to contemplate over the next couple of hours there, Brett Blakemore. Actually, 3 hours, because we're in for Paul Allen and Eric Nordquist. And you can use the text feature, 64686, or you can use that free iHeartRadio talkback feature, and your participation could land you tickets for an upcoming Wild home game. I've got 3 pairs coming out of the break, 1 per hour for the next 3 home games. Tickets are available at wild.com/tickets. March 1st against St. Louis, March 3rd against Tampa Bay, and March 10th against Utah. I'm giving away a pair of tickets in each of the next hours, 1 pair of tickets for each of the next hour. And the 2 biggest focal points today will be about the Olympic hockey team and your Minnesota Wild. Now, granted, the United States hasn't medaled since 2010, no gold since 1980. What do you need out of this Olympics to feel joy? As an American, as a fan of Team USA, what do you need? Would a medal get it done? Does it a bronze or better? Would that satisfy that thirst? And no medal since 2010? Do you need at least a silver? Or do you need that 3rd gold in U.S. history? You have an opportunity here, and it's right on the horizon, and it could happen within the next 9 days. A gold will be awarded on February 22nd out there in Milan. Could this be Team USA's best shot? I think it is since 1980. What do you think, and what do you need to feel some satisfaction here from the Americans out there in Italy? As for the Wild, they haven't been out of the first round since 2015. This, without doubt, is their best and deepest team in 25 years of Wild hockey. So what do you need to hit for a level of satisfaction with the Minnesota Wild? Just getting out of the first round, would that satisfy that? Would that quench that thirst? Do you need out of the second round? Do you need conference finals and nothing less? This is the opportunity to get involved in the program. We've got a great guest lineup coming up. I'll get to that here in a second. But if you want to get in on the conversation, this is your opportunity, 64686. You can also leave one of those talkbacks on the free iHeartRadio app. I'm sure by now you know how that works. Great action coming up at Grand Casino Arena in the month of March. First, we got to get through February, but there's still a lot to get through between now and then. I'm excited for what lays ahead here. Let's talk about the Minnesota Wild first and foremost, Brett. The way they went into the break, riding a 5-game win streak. Everybody's playing well. I'm ready. Let's get this thing going. You got 24 games left in the regular season.
Yeah, and welcome back to the regular season with Colorado in Denver.
Yeah,
have fun with that one.
Yep.
It was one of those things where there was a little bit of a dip before the 5-game win streak where we were like, boy, that Olympic break can't come fast enough. They look tired. They look out of sorts. Of course, they rebounded, but I think the rest is needed for at least the guys that are resting. You know, your Kaprizovs and Zuccarellos, the time off should be good. You don't want to come into that. I mean, I wish that was the second game back, the Avalanche, but it is what it is. But to catch them, you're going to have to play some lights out hockey. I don't even know if it's possible. They looked more human later on in the first half of the season. But they've got to be really, really good to be able to catch them and get some home ice and not have to play Dallas in the first round.
Yeah, it'd be great it feels like a fantasy, especially the way the first half of the season went. First 2/3 of the season went. To think of catching Colorado as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, not just the Central Division. It feels like a fantasy, but if you can do that somehow, some way, you avoid both Colorado and Dallas in the first round, which I think would be amazing. It's not like it's going to be a layup cakewalk no matter who you face off against and whoever gets the second wild card. But still, to avoid Colorado and Dallas in that first round, I think it would be great. Now, in talking about the Olympic hockey team, that's a whole nother animal because there's a lot of teams out there that are pretty good, and Canada obviously is stacked. I mean, Canada is the Colorado Avalanche of the Olympic hockey field, and that's going to be a monster. I mean, they looked so good yesterday. But I'll tell you, the Americans looked pretty darn good, too. I love the fact that Brock Nelson is the guy carrying the water. He's got to be Marc-Andre Fleury's age, but yet still, here they got it done. It looked a little iffy early on when they had a couple of goals waved off, but overall, it ended up being a hell of a hockey game. I like the Americans' chances.
Yeah, I do, too. I think, which, by the way, side note, just quickly on the Wild, if we had the 1-8 playoff system, they'd be playing Seattle in the first round. So now we're stuck with either Dallas or Colorado, most likely.
Yep.
Anyways, as far as the U.S. team, I thought it was 2 very similar games between Canada's first game and the Americans' first game. That first period was kind of like, ooh, what's going on here? Canada, it would have been 0-0 had they not had a last-second redirection goal in front with like 5 seconds left from future and current Wild killer Macklin Celebrini, who just seems to always have a great game against us. And then the U.S., too, nothing went right in the first as far as 2 goals waved off for potentially questionable reasons. I get international rules are different than the NHL rules. And then a handful of posts, it felt like. I think there were 2, but it felt like there were 100. It just was like, uh-oh. Are we going to really get upset? All this wait of 12 years of me waiting for the best American team to be on the ice, and we're going to get upset by Latvia. Thankfully, they came down in the second and took over and took care of business. Yeah, well, I mean, and this is what's so great about this tournament. Really, anything can happen. I think the Canadians and the Americans are the odds-on favorites, but look at what happened to Finland in their opening game. Now, I understand they rebounded quite nicely against Sweden this morning. I didn't watch any of it. I can't wait to get into that with whether it's Brett's Bits, News de Nord, or Brett Blakemore's Breakaways, and give me an update on what happened in the wee mornings from Italy. But that tournament is underway. So how are you feeling out there? 64686. You can also hit us up with that free iHeartRadio app and use that talkback feature, giving away wild tickets. We also have an action-packed guest lineup. Pat Micheletti is going to join us from Notre Dame. He's on the road with the Golden Gopher men's hockey team. We'll talk to him around 10 o'clock, and he'll join us for a couple of segments to talk about what's going on with not only the Minnesota Wild, not only the Olympics, but also an update on those Golden Gophers as they take on the Fighting Irish. Plus, at 11 o'clock, a guy that I haven't talked to in a few years and hasn't played with the Wild for almost a couple of decades, Dwayne Rollison, a Wild alumni. I know a number of you remember that name. Former Wild goaltender, also led the charge for the Edmonton Oilers to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, what feels like a long, long time ago, but he's now out east, and we'll get an update on life events from Dwayne Rollison here at about 11 o'clock. But at the bottom of the hour, there's a viewing party today for the Minnesota Frost as they gear up for the women's Olympic team. They're going to be in action later this afternoon. And to give us all the details on that, the head coach for the Minnesota Frost, Ken Klee, will join us about 9:35. So that sets the table for your guest lineup. But it should be fun. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of conversation about Sam Darnold and who's going to back up J.J. McCarthy. Is McCarthy going to be the guy this year? I apologize. That's not my forte. I probably won't break down Julius Randle's game or Anthony Edwards. I apologize. That's not my forte. Are we going to have Johnny Athletic on later? No, he's free to call. The phone lines are open for Johnny Athletic anytime if he wants to tell me how absolutely wrong I am in loving that game doesn't make those squeaky shoe noises on the floor. We got skates, man. We've got the ice it's a cold building. It's not hot and steamy like a sauna when you're in there watching. No. There's nothing better than hockey, and especially this time of year as we ramp up towards March. The Wild playoffs are in full swing. We got the Winter Olympics going on. It's a good time to be alive if you're a hockey fan. Let's get that first break out of the way, and then we'll get an update on what's going on in the world of sports from my buddy Brett Blakemore. Next, Kevin Falness in for Paul Allen on KFAN. Before we go, the fan wants to give a shot to win bonus bucks to their national cash contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is bank. Keyword bank. KFAN.com. Keyword bank. The Fan welcomes the Black Crowes and Whiskey Myers to Mystic Lake Amphitheater July 28th. Tickets are on sale right now. You can get all the details on all of our upcoming shows on the concert page, KFAN.com, keyword calendar, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Hey guys, Max Megan here. Olympics, super fun so far. America's team looks great. However, Canada might have the best hockey team ever assembled. They are absolutely terrifying to look at. And for the U.S., I would say it is a silver or bust for this Olympics. Obviously, a gold would be remarkable, but Canada just looks too damn good. Thanks. See you guys later.
Hard to argue. I mean, and Canada does look like a behemoth and a monster. Way to bring the mood up. But at the same time, you know what? That's what makes sports so much fun. Sure, they're the favorites, but that doesn't guarantee them anything. I'm excited to see what happens. I like the fact that they've got Hellebuck, and if he should stub his toe, you've got a guy by the name of Jake Ottinger waiting in the wings. That's going to be their strength compared to some of the other teams, and then their blue line as well. And it's not like they've got just a bunch of slugs up front. I think this is I like the team that Bill Guerin has put together, and I want to see what they can do on the biggest stage possible. And they're going to get the opportunity here as this tournament rolls along. I don't know that they necessarily get it in the preliminary action with the teams that are going up there in the in their pool, but at the same time, it's a great chance to get your feet wet and get ready to go. I mean, if Brock Nelson's any indication, man, you could tell the emotion was right there at the forefront for every one of those guys, but especially Brock Nelson. Great to see him get paid yesterday.
Are you still upset that the Wild missed out on him?
I am, actually. Yeah. He would have filled a perfect role here for this team. You know, you're looking for center ice depth, a guy who can kill penalty. Yeah, I said at the time that was the guy that I would want them to go out and get. Didn't work out. Worked out marvelously for the Colorado Avalanche. Mm-hmm. I don't have the stats in front of me. He has to have over 20 goals. He might be knocking on the door of 30. And on a team that's as loaded as it is, to have that depth at that center ice position, God bless him, man. That is that's a bonus without a doubt.
Well, when you looked at the U.S. roster, you thought, okay, he's a role guy. What Bill Guerin talks about all the time is we need role players. Can't just bring Caulfield and Robertson. We need role players. So then when you're scoring 2 goals with your role players, it's like, what a great problem to have.
Without a doubt.
It was really encouraging, especially just I thought, even in the first, when everything was kind of going wrong, it felt like every time the U.S. entered the zone, I get it's Latvia, save your text. Every time they entered the zone, it was a grade A chance.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yep.
So I never really had a panic moment. It was like, hopefully they just stick with it because it's going to come eventually.
My panic moment is when you have 2 goals waved off and then hit the goal post. You know, Quinn Hughes finds the back of the net. That's waved off. That's when I started to think, boy, this could get ugly in a hurry in the wrong way. Like if they score again, then the Americans are fighting from behind, and who knows how they react to that. But it all fell into place in the second half of that hockey game. The first half was a little bit more intense than I would have liked it to be, but then things came correct in the second half of that hockey game, and I think they're going to build upon that going forward. I hope so. They're back on the ice Saturday and Sunday. Should be a wonderful opportunity to figure out what's going on with that team. By the way, we got Beyond the Pond tomorrow, and amongst our guests, Michael Russo from The Athletic and TheAthletic.com said he'll join us there from Milan. So we'll have Wally Shaver and Pat Micheletti at Notre Dame. We'll have Michael Russo on the horn from Milan. So what are we calling this? Is this Brett's Bits? Is this News de Nord? Is this Brett Blakemore's Breakaways? What are you going to do to update us in the world of sports?
It could be any variety. I could throw a bet down, be 9 to noon as well. I don't know. But,
I'll follow your lead.
I'm not sure. Yeah, we can just go sports in general. It's going to be some hockey and some Olympics as well because, as you said, there is no abyss. But when you task me with, well, let's not do hockey, but basketball's on their all-star break, football is dead, baseball is dead, especially in this town.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be some Olympic stuff. But were you awake at 5:10? I don't even know if that's Central or Eastern.
It's Central.
Morning. It was Central.
Yeah.
The border battle that everyone talks about, Finland, Sweden, went down. And Finland bounced back after getting upset in their first game. They just smashed Sweden 4-1.
What I would like to know about that one is how Philip Gustafsson looked, because I didn't watch it. I didn't get up. I have been up early just about every day this week for whatever reason, and I did not make it up early for that one. I just saw they lost 4-1. I saw Gustafsson made 20 saves, and Finland got off the mat after getting beat by Slovakia. So a good win for them, but I want to know how Philip Gustafsson looked in the loss despite suffering defeat.
Well, I can tell you that Eric Sinek spent some time in the box. He had 2 penalties with a roughing and a trip. But, it looked like, hand up. You don't want to pretend that you watched something and you didn't. I was not awake at 5:10 to watch this game.
Yeah.
That would be my first question as well but you've got who better to go to than Volstead right behind him?
Yeah, so, exactly. It's 64686. If you watched that game and you can give us any type of an update on what you thought Philip Gustafsson looked like. The first goal that he gave up yesterday was tenuous. He lost his stick and they scored on the breakaway. That one was tough to watch, and that would be almost worse than, it wouldn't be worse than getting hurt. You don't want anyone to get hurt there, but to see him get mentally unraveled over the course of this tournament and then come back a shell of the guy that went into the tournament would also be borderline catastrophic, because you need Philip Gustafsson. As much as you need a backup goaltender to fill in the holes, you need Philip Gustafsson to feel good about himself, and that's going to be important here as this tournament goes on. I don't know what he looked like today. If someone wants to fill me in at 64686, I'd love to have a scouting report.
The other game that went on this morning, Slovakia beats Italy 3-2. I think that checks out. That tracks.
Yep.
So your standings, what you're looking at right now In Group A, you have Canada, shocker, and Switzerland in the lead with 3 points. In Group B, it looks like you have Slovakia with it's really testing my flag knowledge here. Yep. With 6 points. Then Sweden and Finland trailing with 3 points a pair. And then in Group C, it's the U.S. and Germany tied with 3 points apiece. Latvia and Denmark with no points. So all's to play for, and I don't know how the permutations work, but that's definitely a group that the U.S. can get all 9 points.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The preliminary, I don't think, tells you much about this team unless they were to stub their toe.
Correct.
But you're going up against three. All apologies to everyone else in that pool, but this is 3 wins that should be right there for the taking for the Americans to go into the quarterfinals and beyond and feeling super good about themselves. They should get a bye out of that, whatever that play-in game is, where you got the 5 through 12 seeds going toe-to-toe to advance to the quarterfinals. The Americans should get a free pass to that, and if they don't, then something's wrong, and that'll be something that they'll have to ratchet up. The action later on today, I guess at 9:40, so starting in about 15 minutes, you got France against the Czechs. That'll be at, I think that's 9:40 Central Time. And then you got the women's playing. The Czechs have the Swedes at the exact same time. And then later on today, Canada takes on Switzerland. El Nino, Roman Josi. That'll be a fun one. Mm-hmm. And again, it should be Canada all over the place, all over Switzerland, but we'll see what happens. And then later on today, you got the women and the Americans taking on Italy.
Yeah, that's where I was going next.
2-10.
Yeah, so that's the quarterfinal matchup that the U.S. gets. Great pairing. I don't know. This team, I mean, I think the gap between the U.S. and Canada in the women's game is way bigger than Canada is to the U.S. in the men's.
It's
not
a
even
chasm.
close.
It's a chasm. The women's team right now is playing at a level like the Red Army in 1980. I mean, they're playing at a level that Canada can't even see them on the horizon. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I'm being too bold by saying that.
They beat them about 5-0.
They beat them in their first matchup. They beat them 7 consecutive times, and they absolutely destroyed them in this rivalry series they played up in Canada leading into the Olympics. I mean, this is the women's. Like, for the Americans, there's a part of me that would be happy with a medal, and even if it's not gold, disappointed for sure, but I'd be happy with a medal because that field is so deep. The American women, if they don't come away with gold in this tournament, they're going to feel absolutely disappointed. And I think all of us will, because the body of work that they've put together, their resume says gold or bust. And I don't think that's going over the top saying that. They've just been so good.
I mean, they look unstoppable. and one of our own, Heisey, we got plenty of local angles on this team. They look like the real deal, and no one will be able to touch them, hopefully. Now, you say that, and you're really setting them up for stubbing their toe.
Well, you are, but that's how good they are.
The truth cannot be controversial. They're so good.
That's how good they are. I mean, like there's a slight gap between the Americans and Canadians on the men's side. There's, like I said, a chasm between the Americans and everyone else, including the Canadians on the women's side. And that's one of the fun parts about that. There's so many local angles, whether it be the Minnesotans, whether it be the Frost players. I mean, they just dot the lineup, and it's so much fun to watch. I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm not breaking any news here. That Abby Murphy is so much fun to watch.
I saw the Bill Guerin quote.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. She had one. She was in the offensive corner, and she did a blind Quinn Hughes type pass right into the slot to set up a goal. And that's just one of 100 plays that she's had over the course of her career. And in this Olympics, man, she's going to grab that stage by the horns. It's really fun to watch her and watch that entire team. So again, they're on the ice later on today, and we're going to talk to the head coach for the Minnesota Frost, Ken Klee, here in a matter of moments. They're having an outdoor practice. In where, Brett Blakemore? We're going to call God's Country, yes.
That's right.
At the Rock in St. Louis Park. He's going to preview that, where they also are having a viewing party up at Bunny's. In where, Brett Blakemore?
St. Louis Park?
St. Louis Park, yes. You can refer to it as God's Country as you want. So why don't we take a break, and then we'll get the update on that from Ken Klee, talk a little women's Olympic hockey next on, I almost said Beyond the Pond, but no, we're in for Paul Allen on KFAN.
There's nothing, Kevin Falness, like live hockey. You can experience the Minnesota Wild.
Live hockey?
In action
Minnesota
at Grand
Wild?
Casino Arena. all season long. You can secure your tickets now. Do you know where you can? Wild.com/tickets. Join the excitement. Wild.com/tickets.
Hey guys, been a great Wild season so far. Really looking forward to us getting towards the playoffs and making a run. I think what would give me the most satisfaction to start out would just be getting out of that first round, getting through one of our nemesis, whether it's Dallas or whoever it is, and get over that hurdle. If we can do that, I think we could really raise our expectations and see what we can put together and go for a cup run. But getting over that first round hurdle is huge. Thanks, guys.
Get that monkey off their back, no doubt. 2015, the last time they're out of the first round. That is a long time coming. Got to get over that hurdle.
I was in high school.
This will be a tough year to do it, though. I mean, you got to get past Colorado or Dallas. Either way, it ain't going to be easy. But this, as I've said, best Wild team in franchise history. The talent top to bottom, the depth, the goaltending, everything has fallen into place. And then if you just add to it going into the trade deadline around March 6th, look out. It could be a fun year for the Minnesota Wild once we get past the regular season. We've already had some fun there in St. Paul in terms of the Minnesota Frost. To talk about that and more, we bring in their head coach, Klee. Kevin Falness here on KFAN. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, I know you guys got some big stuff going on, and there's some good stuff happening across the pond with a number of the ladies that are on the Minnesota Frost. How closely are you? I know this is an obvious answer, but how close are you paying attention to what's going on over there in Milan with especially with the Women's Olympics?
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It's obviously great to watch all of our players who are over there. Obviously, the 6 that are representing the U.S. as well as the 2 that are representing Czechia. So it's fun to watch, and it's definitely a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we're definitely excited for them.
You guys are going to have some fun today. I understand you're going to be in God's country at the Rock in St. Louis Park, an open practice starting at 11, and then a viewing party up the street at Bunny's starting at 2 o'clock to see the Americans take on Italy. That'll be fun to get out there in front of the fans and have a little open skate.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's kind of a neat thing to be able to skate on the outdoor rink. One of our coaches, Chris Jonathan Critter, that's his home rink, so he's definitely excited to have us up there. He's up there with his girls all the time, and he's definitely excited to have the team up there.
I can tell you, and he can tell you as well as anyone, but my Bantam was up there last night. I was a little worried that it's starting to get a little warm. I said, what was that ice like? He said, perfect night to be out there skating, so you don't have to worry about the ice conditions. You guys are going to have a blast.
Yeah, no, he said the same. He said that he just had his girls out there, I guess it was 2 nights ago, and same thing. He said the ice was just perfect. So really, really neat opportunity and kind of a cool thing just to have a little bit of a different practice with the group that we do have here.
All right, so I want to get back to the Frost. Let's go across the seas there to talk about the team over there in Milan, the U.S. Women's Olympic team. I've been saying, Ken, maybe I'm going overboard here, but it feels like there's a chasm between what the Americans have put together and the rest of the field. It feels like it's gold or bust, and especially the way they've handled Canada, not only in this tournament, but beating them 7 straight times in the manner that they have. I mean, it feels like this is a team that's built for success.
Yeah, no, they're playing great. I mean, for me, it's really exciting to see that they're getting balanced scoring. Obviously, they have great goaltending, and when you've got that recipe and there are so many offensive defensemen, they're tough to handle. So it's definitely been exciting to watch them this year, and certainly, you can't take Canada lightly because they're going to come hard, in the gold medal game. I would assume that they're both going to get there. I think it would be a shock to everybody in the hockey world if they weren't. So, but they still have to get there, and it's good. I think today's just another building block. Obviously, it'll be a chance for a team like Italy to see the U.S. team, and they've never seen anybody like them. So it'll be it should be quite an eye opener for them, as well as it should be a fun game for the U.S. to play.
You said you got 8 members of the Frost over there battling in the Olympics, and 6 on that American team. Who has stood up for you? Not to call out anyone in particular, but has anyone surprised you of the 6 that you sent over there on that U.S. squad? What they've been able to do thus far in the tournament?
No real surprises. I mean, they're all excellent players. I mean, they've been, when you look at the PWHL scoring, you look how, we've got a bunch of our players up there near the top, and that's why we are where we are in the standings so up right now, but there's a lot of season left. But I think, definitely, Taylor's having a great tournament for her first Olympics. I think, Kelly, Kendall, and Zum getting to play together, they're all playing well. They haven't got on the score sheet, I know, as much as they would like, but they're definitely creating a lot of momentum, a lot of stacking shifts so that other lines sometimes can go. And then, Britta, she's been great. She's been a little bit at center, a little bit on the wing. They seem to be shuffling lines up a lot, which is kind of fun for them to get to play with different people at different times in the game. So all of them. And then obviously Lee is always just a stalwart on the back. She just is super calm and keeps everything great. And I've been happy with all their play. I think they've all been really playing well, and it shows in there, like you said, that they're winning in dominating fashion.
I'm going to ask you about another player that is not a member of the Minnesota Frost, but is grabbing the attention and has been into the tournament, and now that they're on the international stage, Abby Murphy. I know she battles for Brad Frost there on the over at Ritter Arena, but when you watch her, what do you see? Because you can't watch the Americans and not notice her, of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, she plays with tremendous pace. She's got jam. I think as a hockey coach and a hockey person, that's the kind of player you love to watch. Someone who has pace. They have an incredible compete level. She plays with a little edge, which is great to see. She has an incredible skill set. I watch her one-time pucks and some of the goals she scored. She's going to be exciting when she gets to the PWHL for sure, and obviously she's having a great tournament so far.
Talking to Ken Klee, the head coach for the Minnesota Frost, back-to-back champs, looking for a three-peat. Hopefully, once that season gets back underway, they can continue to roll. As I look at the standings, you said it's been kind of up and down, Ken. Second place in the PWHL with 28 points, and just 2 points back of the Boston Fleet, but it feels like there's a lot of teams on your heels. What are you expecting as play gets back underway here later this month?
Well, it's going to be an exciting finish. I think one of the best things about the PWHL is how the competitive balance is there, and if you don't play well, you're not going to win. So I think there's a definite competitive every night, and so we're 15 games in. We're exactly halfway. Obviously, I like where we're at, but I know that we're gonna have to play well in the finish to be able to secure a top four spot, because only 4 teams are making the playoffs. So I think it's going to be an exciting finish, but certainly we're looking to put ourselves back into one of those top 4 spots, and then we'll see where we can set our sights next.
Much like the Wild, you guys come out of the break and you have to hit the road. So your next game is on the road Sunday, March 1st at Place Bell. And then your next home game isn't until March 13th when you host Seattle, 7 o'clock at Grand Casino Arena. I've been talking to Kevin Gorg a lot. He says he loves the atmosphere there inside the building when you guys inhabitate Grand Casino Arena. What's it been like from the coach's perspective?
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, definitely we have a great fan base, a great crowd there. It's a fun atmosphere. I mean, I've said before that, like, even at Grand Casino, as well as some of our takeover tour games or our other cities, like when I have friends come to watch, they're really impressed with the overall game, as well as how it's a different feel than an NHL game. It's definitely a fun atmosphere. There's a lot of obviously hair flips and things going on with all of our young ladies who are there, and it's exciting. It's a lot of fun to just watch how excited they get, and I'm certainly loving being a part of it.
I'm wondering, the fans might not realize, not only do you guys share the home ice for Grand Casino Arena with the Minnesota Wild, you also share their practice facility, and we get a chance to cross paths all the time there at Trier Rink in St. Paul. What has that facility been like for you guys to make that your home away from home?
Yeah, no, it's excellent. I mean, it's so fun to be able to have a great setup like we have there. Obviously, the Wild being the host, we're in their Black Aces room is where our players are at, which is great that they're been so great to us. And it's just a great spot for us to practice. It's only a couple blocks from Grand Casino, so it's easy for the trainers. It's obviously a great setup in both spots. So we're really lucky to have it.
Couple more for you. Again, we're talking to Ken Klee, currently the head coach for the Minnesota Frost. Again, back-to-back champs, and they've got an outdoor practice today at the Rock in St. Louis Park starting at 11. Then they're going up to Bunny's at 2 o'clock for a viewing party in the quarterfinal game between the U.S. and Italy. That starts about 2 o'clock. Go on up there and rub elbows with Ken and the rest of them. Your previous life, though, you're also an NHL defenseman. I certainly remember the name watching you as you did your thing there on the NHL stage. 900 games played. I remember you as a Washington Capital, but you had a few other stops beyond that from 1994 to 2009. What has it been like to go to this next stage in your career?
No, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think when hockey's such a big, important part of your life, and you're fortunate enough to be able to play in the NHL a long time, I think that's great. And then, I just kind of wanted to spend time with my kids at first, and it was a passion that way. And then as I got into it, I realized that I not only loved helping my own kids, I loved trying to help other kids to reach their goals and dreams. And then obviously the opportunity came up for me to be a part of the women's national team. So I got to be the head coach there for a couple of years and win a couple of world championships. And I really enjoyed it. Went back to the men's side, coached in Syracuse for a couple of years for Tampa Bay. And then, this opportunity came up. And for me, they're such great people. They come to work every day. They're hungry. They want to learn. They want to get better. As a coach, that's all you can ask. So for me, these ladies, they bring it every day, and it's a great honor for me to be a part of.
Last question then. We've talked a lot about the women's game. The men's game is going on as well, and they came away with a victory yesterday. They're 1-0 on the tournament. They're going through the preliminaries. What do you think about the squad your buddy Bill Guerin has set up there for Team USA?
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's so fun to watch Best on Best. I think Billy and I maybe were on the same World Cup team in 2004, and we got to actually play here at I guess it was XL back then.
Yeah.
But, it's just great. When you have Best on Best and you're getting to play with guys that you normally don't get to play with, but maybe you've grown up playing with and against, and it's just such a fun opportunity to be in the locker room and to be around those guys. Obviously, you're competing at the highest level, but it's exciting. And the U.S. team that Billy's put together is awesome to watch. I mean, they have size, they have physicality, they have obviously a tremendous amount of skill. It's just fun, and I think it's going to be great. I think all the games are going to be exciting. I think all the games are going to be a lot of fun to watch. So it was certainly fun to watch yesterday.
I forgot about that 2004 team, and I didn't realize you guys were both on that squad. What was it like to be a teammate with Billy during that time?
No, it's good. I've known Billy for a long time. We actually got to room together in Brainerd before the '92 Olympic team, which we were together for. So I've known Billy for a long time. So it was great. Obviously, he's turned after his playing career more into the management side. Starting with Pittsburgh, and then obviously having a tremendous run here in Minnesota. So it's fun to watch. Your peers and buddies that you played with and against your whole life. And the different paths they take. Obviously, a lot of them still take in the hockey world, which is fun because, like I said, it has been such a big, important part of our lives, and now getting to continue it, it's just fun to be a part of.
Ken, thanks for doing this. Have a great day in God's country, whether it be at the Rock in St. Louis Park or up the street in Bunnies, and we'll be paying close attention once the PWHL season gets underway here, I guess at the start of March.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
There you go. Ken Klee, head coach, and I think also general manager for the Minnesota Frost, back-to-back champs, looking for a three-peat. Again, you don't need an excuse to come to St. Louis Park, but today you got one. Come on down and have that outdoor practice at the Rock at SLP, 11 o'clock, right behind the rec center, and then up the street at Bunnies in St. Louis Park as well. One of the great spots on earth. Not only just St. Louis Park, not only in the Twin Cities, not only in Minnesota, but Bunnies is the place to be, especially today for that USA watch party. It's quarterfinal action. The Americans taking on Italy. It should be a fun atmosphere. And if you're looking for a way to take it in this afternoon, this will be your opportunity. You enjoy spending time in St. Louis Park, do you not, Brett Blakemore?
Well, I do every day.
Yeah, so I know, right?
Of course I do. Yeah, I like that. It's one of my favorite rinks to play at in the cities. That is true. And especially the outdoor one.
Like I said, my son had a practice out there last night. He said the ice was fine, and especially with this weather, I think if it gets around 55, it gets a little tenuous out there. The ice gets a little soft. And there's been times over the course of the last few years where there's actually been like steam on the windows if it's too hot as the ice starts to go away. But you don't have to worry about that today. They're going to have a blast. The Wild have done a ton of outdoor practices out there over the course of the last decade. So you know that it's a great atmosphere, a great place to go to watch the Frost in action, the two-time defending Frost champions, PWHL champs, and then they'll go up the street to Bunnies in St. Louis Park about 2:00 to watch the Americans take on Italy. Can I be self-serving for just a moment? You know how much
you never do
that.
Typically.
It is a day past my father's 85th birthday. 85 years. Can you imagine that? 85 years. So we sang him happy birthday last night. So I just wanted to throw that out there for anyone listening that knows
happy birthday.
Roy Falness. I'll say happy birthday, Mr. Falness, and grandpa to my children and my sister's children. Very much so. Yeah, he wiped out not that long ago, and it was just a dumb thing. It wasn't like it was anything like on ice or anything. It was a perfectly fine day. He went to reach for his coffee off the front porch and fell backwards and racked his head. So he had to be in a neck brace for about 3 months, which was funny, because then you'd stand to his side and say, hey, make eye contact when I'm talking to you. He didn't think that was funny, but he's all better now. The neck brace is off. He's doing well. So I just wanted to say happy birthday to my father. Let's take a quick break. And then when we continue, we're going to go out to Notre Dame and we're going to check in South Bend with the great Pat Micheletti. He's out there with the Golden Gopher hockey team, and we can talk about anything in the world of sports for sure, but definitely hockey is going to be the emphasis with Pat Micheletti next on KFAN.